Hi, I'm Joe Revita from Empire Music, empiremusic.com in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I'm coming to you from our Taylor Guitars showroom. And today I'm going to do a longer video than I normally would. And I'm here to talk to you about what is Taylor Guitars going to look like in the future. What models are they going to make? What features are we going to have? And how would we figure that out? Well, just recently, we got a bunch of amazing prototypes in, and we get these prototypes because we have a great relationship with Taylor and we love cool and unique guitars. But as I got all these in and I saw that what they had been doing, it made a light bulb go off. I said, wait, they're telling us something here. They're telling us what they're testing that might be part of the future of Taylor Guitars and their Taylor Guitars lineup, which is really exciting because there are a handful of models here that are things that I've specifically asked for a long time. And it shows that they're listening not only to their dealers, but to all of you who love Taylor Guitars and want some different things in the lineup. You know, Taylor is definitely an innovation company. When we think about the guitar business and the manufacturers in it, most brands that are the major manufacturers are trying to build guitars as close to the ones that they used to build a long time ago, which is really cool. There's historic companies, Martin, Gibson, that we offer, and they are honoring their history, and that's a great tradition. But I was thinking about Taylor Guitars tradition. Now, for those of you that don't know me, I first started to sell Taylor guitars when I was 14 years old in 1994. My dad and mom had a piano store, and my dad came home from a trade show with Taylor guitars, and my mom was like, what are you doing? We don't sell guitars, really. And he's like, I just love the way they're built. And that's my first experience. And the one tradition that Taylor Guitars has had is that they're always changing. It's unlike the Eddie Vedder lyric where it's, I change by not changing. That's our historic classic brands. Taylor is always on the move. They're always trying something new. And I love that about them because their goal is to make the best guitar that they can today. And that means that tomorrow, there might be a better version of that. And that leads to constant evolution, leads to things like the NT neck joint, which revolutionized the way guitars are expected to feel in the acoustic guitar market, the Expression System 2, and now you have Andy Powers with V-bracing and sound port guitars. Even like the Grand Auditorium body shape that didn't exist. I mean, it's Taylor's body shape. GS Minis, things that are unique to them. But that all started in, at first, Bob's workshop, and now Bob and Andy's workshop, where they're sketching out what is the future of Taylor Guitars. So that's what I want to talk to you about today. You can see our entire Taylor Guitars collection right at empiremusic.com. You can always email me, joe@empiremusic.com. You can call or text me directly on my cell phone, 412-915-7118. I'm glad to take care of you with any questions about Taylor Guitars. You know, we're an online preferred dealer for a reason from Taylor. There's only a handful in the world, and we're proud to be one. So we'll give you a great experience. Now, let's break down what Taylor Guitars offered us in this recent prototype shipment that we received. And the first one I'm holding here is exciting to me. They sent us basically standard USA models, which is like this 300 series that I'm holding here. They sent us some 200 series models and 100 series models that are the Tecate Mexico factory that have some unique changes. And then they sent us some, what we would call, I think, final prototypes. Just the final versions of things that became limited edition or stock models. So I'm going to go through all of that with you today. The first guitar I want to talk about is this prototype 322 CE. Now, at first blush, that's a 322 CE. What's unique about it? Well, Taylor is always experimenting with new tone woods and design implementations in their guitars. And this one struck me because the 322 CE is traditionally a solid mahogany top with solid blackwood back and sides. However, this particular model offers urban ash back and sides. This one is particularly interesting because we know that Andy Powers sourced urban ash first for the 324 CE Builder's Edition. And then we saw it in the GT Urban Ash, right? The new Grand Theater. It was released with Urban Ash back and sides. What do we know about Urban Ash? Urban Ash is a wood that is sustainable. It's a streetscape wood typically found in California, so it's abundant. And it's got a lot of mahogany-esque tones. It's very woodsy, very balanced. Now, why is that interesting? Well, blackwood that typically goes on the back of a 322 CE has a lot of sparkle to it, right? It's really kind of like really chimey, which is beautiful. It sounds awesome. This guitar has got a much more throaty tone to it. I just want to strum it for you so you can get a feel for how it sounds. It's got a super rootsy vibe. I love it. Really cool. Obviously, the blackwood would have a little bit more, like I said, chime up top for sure. You would definitely notice that. This sounds, again, chunkier. I like the idea of Urban Ash being in the lineup, and we don't know if this guitar or any of these guitars will ever come to fruition. But what this kind of gives us an idea is that Taylor's had success working with the Urban Ash. They like how it's performing sonically. They like how it's performing in manufacturing, which is super, super important because not all of these tone woods are easy to use. That's why we don't see an ebony guitar in the lineup, because while ebony is beautiful and sounds great, it's just there's a lot of fault. There's a lot of manufacturing defect with it because it's so hard to work with. So it doesn't make sense to use for back and sides. It's too hard to bend. Well, here, Urban Ash, we know, has made its introduction in a Builder's Edition model and then in a new Grand Theater model. And now you see this 322, and it's absolutely beautiful. And Urban Ash is just gorgeous. And the cool thing with prototypes is that these were woods that were hand selected to make the best version possible. They were meticulously watched over by those in manufacturing that are leads in their department that are making sure the product turns out to an absolute premium. Now, Taylor makes phenomenally consistent guitars. That is a truth of Taylor guitars. It's a brand promise that when you buy a Taylor guitar, you're going to get a consistent instrument. But this particular one had a little extra eyeball on it, which is always great. So if you'd like to see this one here, check out empiremusic.com. Now, I mentioned earlier that we get models that are in the 100s and 200s too. And a particular 100 caught my eye that they sent us, and I want to start with that one. Okay, for all you Taylor guitar geeks out there, you know this model. If you know it's a 100 series, what is it? It's a 114 CE. Now, that today is immediately interesting because the 114 CE doesn't exist in the lineup. Taylor removed it a couple years ago, and now they only make the 114E, which is the same guitar, solid Sitka spruce top, and then layered walnut back and sides. Check that out, and that's the same with this here. But the cutaway on this particular prototype is back, which is really cool. It's a feature that most people want. I hope they bring a 114 CE back with a cutaway because it's just a feature that we all like to have access, especially with Taylor guitars. We're used to seeing them. But that's not the story of this guitar. That's exciting in itself. And if they just send us some 114 CEs, I'd be stoked to know that maybe down the line in 2022, 2023, when things level out in manufacturing, when things are more consistent, you might get a 114 CE. But what's the real story on this guitar? If you didn't see it when I turned it around, can you eyeball it now? It's our neck. It's a maple neck. That's not too wild and crazy. It's a torrefied maple neck. Now we're talking. Torrefying, the process is basically a baking, and it's aging the wood, and it's reducing the moisture content, the mineral content of the wood, and giving it a more aged-in factor. It makes it lighter, it makes it more ambient, and it makes it darker. So for a couple reasons, it's important for a guitar neck to consider. First, it being lighter, that's always nice. It lightens our guitar. Making it more resonant, right? The moisture content's reduced. There's less mineral content. It makes the guitar more vibrant, more able to vibrate top to bottom, which is going to create more tone. And then darker. which for cosmetic purposes is really, really important. We all want beautiful guitars. There's no one in our world that likes guitars that are ugly. We don't want an ugly guitar. We want a beautiful guitar. And if this had a stark white maple neck, it probably wouldn't be as enticing. So having this beautiful caramely look to it is great. We wouldn't be able to isolate what the torrefied maple neck does to the guitar sonically, but I can feel it when I play it. Plenty of vibration through the neck, really alive. So that's a super cool feature and something that I hope, Taylor will experiment with moving forward. We love the feel of it. It looks amazing. And also, it's great because maple is an abundant wood and it allows us to have another resource. Taylor is obviously focused on sustainability of woods and its place in the ecosystem as to not harm the ecosystem. They want to make sure that there's more of what they took when they're done with it than less. And Bob has spearheaded that all over the world. And that's something that they should be really proud of. And as Taylor guitar owners, if you are one, you can know that when you invested in a Taylor guitar, you also invested in a company that is trying to find ways to make amazing guitars that sound great and look beautiful and are environmentally safe. Urban ash, this maple that's abundant, they can torrefy and make it more useful for guitar players. So a great option. Now, you have something like this, which is awesome, for sure. But then you also have things like this 200 series, a 254 CE. Now, the 254 CE is solid spruce top, layered rosewood back and sides, 12-string. Probably one of the most popular 12-string guitars on earth. Taylor's NT neck joint, which Bob Taylor invented in the early 2000s, made 12 strings playable. Like if you ever played, nothing's worse than your friend's uncle's 12 string. That basically means that you're gonna have a crippled hand after 5 minutes of playing. The action's so bad. You don't have to worry about that with Taylor guitars. Now the 200 series typically has just all satin, which this guitar is, and it just has a plain acrylic rosette. Well, here they upgraded it with pearl. So sometimes there's just basic things that they're experimenting with and are looking for feedback. And maybe some of you have mentioned to Taylor guitars, man, it would be nice if my 200 series, that's not a plus or a deluxe, had a little bit more cosmetic bling. Something like this is great because they can add a beautiful rosette and it's not too over the top. So if you like the subtlety of a satin guitar and you don't want something that is super blingy, this gives it a nice touch. So just a cool way to give us a little bit more zip without getting too wild and crazy. Now, the next guitar in my list here, as my microphone trips me up, is this 214 CEK Deluxe. Now, this is a really exciting guitar because we know that the guitars that Taylor makes in Mexico transformed the acoustic guitar market, and they basically dominate the $1,500 and under guitar range. They make supremely playable, beautiful instruments that sound amazing. And for guitar players in this price range, if you're interested in getting an instrument that is closest to a $5,000 guitar, Taylor delivers it in their 100s and 200s. There's no doubt about it. These guitars have the same neck joint. The ones that have electronics have the same expression system too. Ebony fingerboards and bridges. Things that we should all look for in high-end Taylor guitars are delivered right here in these 200 and 200 Deluxe models. What makes this guitar particularly exciting is not only the stunning Koa back and sides, because the 214 CEK Deluxe already exists, just like you see it here, except for the top. The top is what makes this a great prototype and something that I really, really, really hope Taylor brings us moving forward. It's got a torrefied top. Now, the torrefied tops are the same style process that we just went through on the neck on the 114, 114 to 114 series over there. Baked makes the guitar more resonant. Obviously, much more important to the tone of a guitar on the top of it than just on the neck. This is going to give the guitar a much warmer, aged-in, vintagey vibe. It obviously makes it look darker, which is definitely sexy. There's no doubt about it. This guitar is gorgeous. It is going to give us the opportunity to get a fuller sounding 200 series guitar. So let's check it out. Extremely resonant, hyper responsive. Torrefied guitars has been around for a while now, and Taylor uses it in their Builders Edition with the 600 series, so you get a torrefied top there. You get it in the 912 Builders Edition, torrefied top. To have that option here in the 200 series would be a welcome addition. It gives players more choices. It allows us to take other models in the 200 series and have more to decide from, right? Which is great. So you get beautiful koa on a layered back and sides, you get the rounded back, you get all the great design features of a 200 series Deluxe. But now with the torrefied top, we're getting a warmer, more mature sounding version. So for guitar buyers in the market that are looking for more options, this to me is a phenomenal choice and just a really, really important guitar in the prototypes they sent me. And I hope it's something that they follow through on here in the future. We'll see how you guys respond to it too. The next one that I want to show you is a very similar story. One of the most notable guitars in the Ducati guitars, which is again 100s and 200 series, is the 224, which is the koa model, right? The 224 CEK Deluxe. It's got a solid koa top, layered koa back and sides, shaded edge burst, absolutely beautiful. Probably the most beautiful guitar on earth at $15.99. A really, really spectacular instrument. But does the 224 have to be a koa guitar? Well, up until now, the answer to that was yes, always. I mean, I never had even really thought about it. It just is. Well, this guitar is the 224 CE QS DLX. Quilt sapele, back and sides, with a beautiful dark wood top, right? A mahogany, sapele mahogany top. This thing is awesome. It's absolutely beautiful. Sapele's got a really, really streaky wood to it. It's the same back and sides that is on a 314 CE, right? Sapele is in the mahogany family. It's really kind of like warm and midsy and lush, real balanced. And it works great on a guitar like this because with the arch back and sides, we get more bottom end, and it gives us a fuller tone. It's not quite as sparkly as the koa on a 224 CEK Deluxe. I would absolutely buy one of these for myself. I have lots of expensive guitars. This is just a fun to play guitar, and I think it's beautiful. I mean, black binding, very sleek, not over the top, but it gives us the warmth of the sapele top. It gives us the beauty of the quilted sapele back and sides. And you can see much better pictures of these right at empiremusic.com. If you check out our site, we have the exact photos of every guitar. But a really, really spectacular instrument. And man, this would be a home run if Taylor made this. You know, we definitely, anybody at Taylor Guitars would tell you that I'm very vocal on what I think needs to be in the line. And we've definitely talked about other versions of sapele top guitars in Ducati. Not specifically this model particularly, but offering something besides the 224 koa, which is incredibly popular, but koa is hard sometimes to get, and it creates a difficulty in getting it into the market. Sometimes tailors just having trouble getting it to us because the koa wasn't great that they got. So they can't make it for a while until they source new. Well, this would be something that's more easily found and definitely able to be replicated enough to be a stock model. And I'm rooting for this one personally to get in there. Now, back to USA. The next model I want to show you is a 500 series. It's a 514 CE prototype. Now, the 500 series is a misunderstood series in Taylor Guitars history to me. I think that it's one of the best sounding guitars. It's typically a cedar top with mahogany back and sides. But most of us are just used to buying spruce top guitars. So cedar is very warm and lush. It's great, matches great with mahogany, gives it some liveliness and balance, just a little bit rounder sounding. Well, this prototype has an exquisite, just an absolutely gorgeous redwood top. Now, a lot of you are familiar with sinker redwood, right? Sinker redwood is super streaky. There's actually one of them behind me. Beautiful is an underwater redwood that was just left there forever, where minerals crept into the wood and given it a different tone and look. Well, this is a standard redwood top, and it's great because it's just really sweet sounding. Really, really beautiful. The theme for all of this should be, not only does offering more wood options give us more choices, it also gives us the ability to get different sounding Taylor guitars. Taylor has a very defined tone, tons of definition, hyper focus, a lot of clarity. Well, tops like sapele or redwood, mahogany, they kind of give the guitar a little bit fatter, rounder sound. Now, it's not going to be as loud as a spruce top guitar, but it allows us to be a little bit more bold up top, not as bright. It gives us a little bit of a thickness that is unique. So if you have a bunch of guitars and you're looking for something new, something like this would fit amazingly in a collection. Now, the last guitar I'm going to show you is my personal favorite, and one that I will champion until it becomes a stock model. This beautiful, beautiful guitar, the 412 CE 12 fret with rosewood back and sides and a cedar top. Now, on a personal side, my very first Taylor guitar was a 1994 714, which was cedar and rosewood. An absolutely incredible guitar, and probably still one of my favorite guitars to this day. Cedar and rosewood should always be in Taylor's lineup. This is something that I've genuinely believed has been a hole in their lineup. It just is incredible. Cedar's so warm and round, and rosewood has extra bass and extra trebles, compressed mids, and all that stuff kind of levels out and it just sounds really fat no matter what body shape you have. Now you combine this with the fact that Taylor is not making a 12 fret in the 400 series. Why? I don't know. I ask this all the time. You should ask it. Let's make it happen. Let's do it together to get Taylor to build this guitar. 12 fret guitars are, to me, I think, the most important Taylor guitar, because I don't think anyone in the marketplace builds a guitar like this. 12 fret guitars are amazing because instead of the neck and the body meeting at the 14th fret, they meet at the 12th fret. That means our first fret's closer to us. It means we get a short scale like other grand concerts, so we get a little bit easier playability. It's easy because it's closer to us. The bridge moves back, so we get a little bit more bass. Now, if you're the Van Halen of the acoustic world, this isn't the right guitar for you. You don't have enough room to move up here. But for everyone else that knows that all the money's made down here when you're playing guitar, this is where the action is. This gives us just a unique look into what Taylor guitars can do with an amazing design. So it just works great, and I want them to build this guitar so I can buy one, because I will definitely, I never keep one of anything. If we have a cool one guitar here at Empire, I never buy it for myself because I want the opportunity for someone else to get that great guitar. But if they make this a stock model, I'm all in on it. It's a really, really phenomenal sounding instrument. They have these really sexy appointments to it. They remind me of the old 700 series tortoiseshell binding, the faux tortoiseshell. It just fits. The selling point, though, is beside the fact that I'm trying to relive 14-year-old me's favorite guitar, is that sonically it reminds me of why I fell in love with Taylor guitars. Let's check it out. That's it. That's the sound that should pour out of a Taylor guitar. I just genuinely think it's like my favorite combination. I just love it to death, and I'm excited to have this one to offer. If you love Taylor guitars, you know that they're always changing. And today was trying to give you a glimpse into what might be coming down the pike. Taylor, even during times like COVID where there's lots of back orders and things are tricky, they're still experimenting. They're still looking for the new thing to offer all of us. And I love that about them because they never stay still. They're always trying to enhance their player's experience. And for that, I love Taylor guitars. So if you love Taylor guitars and you have any questions about anything Taylor related, you can see our entire inventory of Taylor guitars right at empiremusic.com. If you like these videos, you can always subscribe to our channel. You can email me directly at joe@empiremusic.com. You can call or text me directly, 412-915-7118. I'm coming to you from our Taylor Guitars showroom with an amazing selection of Taylor instruments, including these awesome prototypes. Get yourself a glimpse of Taylor's future, and we'll see if any of these become stock models down the line from Taylor Guitars. Let's hope so. Thanks for watching. I'm Joe from Empire Music, empiremusic.com in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, with a look into the Taylor Guitars of the future. Thanks for watching.